Port Royal, Jamaica was once a thriving port city known for its vibrant and bustling atmosphere. In the 17th century, it was a hub of trade and commerce, attracting merchants from across the globe. Its location in the Caribbean Sea was strategic, making it a key point for maritime routes. Ships laden with goods from all over the world would dock at its bustling harbour, bringing wealth and prosperity. The city prospered from this trade, becoming a beacon of wealth in the Caribbean. Its streets were filled with merchants, sailors, and adventurers, all seeking fortune and opportunity. The wealth of Port Royal was legendary, with tales of immense riches spreading far and wide. It was said to be one of the richest cities in the world, a true jewel of the Caribbean. Its citizens enjoyed a lavish lifestyle, adorned in fine clothing and living in grand houses. Fine houses lined the streets, and taverns overflowed with rum and merriment, creating a lively and festive atmosphere. But Port Royal's prosperity came at a price, attracting not only honest traders, but also those with darker intentions. It attracted not only honest traders, but also those who sought to acquire wealth through less legitimate means, including pirates. The city became a haven for pirates who found in Port Royal a place to sell their plundered treasures. These ruthless sea dogs found in Port Royal a place to sell their plundered treasures, adding to the city's wealth. They spent their ill-gotten gains freely, adding to the city's reputation for wild living and extravagance. Port Royal was a city that lived life on the edge, a place where fortunes could be made and lost in the blink of an eye, embodying the spirit of adventure and risk. Port Royal was notorious for its lawlessness, a place where the rule of law was often overshadowed by the rule of the sword. The authorities often turned a blind eye to the activities of the pirates, allowing them to operate with near impunity. In fact, some officials even profited from their plunder, taking a cut of the loot in exchange for protection. The most famous of these privateers was Henry Morgan, a man whose name would become synonymous with piracy. He was a Welshman who had made a name for himself through daring raids on Spanish settlements, striking fear into the hearts of his enemies. Morgan was a ruthless and ambitious man, driven by a desire for wealth and power. His exploits brought him immense wealth and notoriety, making him one of the richest men in the Caribbean. He became a legend in his own time, feared by the Spanish and admired by his fellow Englishmen for his audacity and success. Morgan's success made him a valuable asset to the English crown, who saw him as a tool to weaken Spanish power in the New World. He was granted a privateer's commission, which allowed him to attack Spanish ships and settlements with impunity under the guise of serving the crown. In 1671, Morgan led a daring raid on Panama City, one of the wealthiest cities in the Spanish Empire. The city was a major hub of Spanish trade, and its capture was a significant blow to the Spanish Empire's dominance in the region. Morgan's men looted the city, carrying off a vast treasure that would further cement his reputation as one of the most successful pirates of his time. This raid cemented Morgan's reputation as one of the most successful pirates of his time, a figure whose legacy would endure for centuries. On June 7, 1692, disaster struck Port Royal. At around 11:43 in the morning, a massive earthquake shook the city to its core. The ground beneath Port Royal liquefied, swallowing buildings and people whole. The sea surged into the city, turning streets into raging torrents. Within minutes, 2/3 of Port Royal lay beneath the waves. The earthquake was a catastrophic event. Thousands of people perished, either in the initial quake or in the fires and aftershocks that followed. The destruction was so complete that it left Port Royal a shadow of its former self. The once bustling city was now a watery grave. The earthquake sent shockwaves throughout the Caribbean. It was a stark reminder of the power of nature and the fragility of human life. For Port Royal, it marked the end of an era. The city that had once been a symbol of wealth and prosperity was now a cautionary tale. The sunken city of Port Royal did not disappear entirely. It lay submerged beneath the waves, a time capsule of 17th century life. For centuries, the city remained undisturbed, its secrets hidden beneath the silt and sand. Then, in the 20th century, archaeologists began to explore the underwater ruins of Port Royal. These underwater explorations revealed a wealth of information about life in Port Royal. The archaeologists uncovered the foundations of buildings, streets, and even the city's fortifications. They also found a treasure trove of artifacts. These included everyday objects such as pottery, tools, and jewelry. The artifacts provided a unique glimpse into the lives of the people who had lived and died in Port Royal. They painted a picture of a diverse and cosmopolitan city, where people from all walks of life had come together to seek their fortunes. Among the most fascinating discoveries made in Port Royal were the personal belongings of the city's inhabitants. These objects, preserved by the sea, offered a poignant connection to the past. One such find was a pocket watch, stopped at the exact moment the earthquake struck. This artifact served as a chilling reminder of the suddenness with which disaster had struck the city. Another intriguing find was a collection of clay pipes. These pipes, often found near taverns and inns, were a common sight in Port Royal. They spoke of a time when smoking tobacco was a popular pastime, enjoyed by people from all levels of society. These and other artifacts helped to bring the history of Port Royal to life. They provided tangible evidence of the city's past, allowing us to connect with the people who had lived there in a way that written records alone could not. One of the most remarkable stories to emerge from the ruins of Port Royal is that of Simon Benning. Benning was a resident of Port Royal who perished in the 1692 earthquake. His story might have been lost to history were it not for the meticulous work of archaeologists. During an excavation, a pewter plate bearing the initials SB was unearthed. This seemingly insignificant find led researchers on a quest to uncover the identity of its owner. Through careful cross-referencing with historical documents, including census records and property deeds, they were able to identify the plate's owner as Simon Benning. The discovery of Benning's plate opened a window into the life of an ordinary resident of Port Royal. By tracing his movements through documents and artifacts, researchers were able to piece together a picture of his life, his occupation, and even his social standing within the city. The archaeological work at Port Royal continues to this day. New discoveries are constantly being made, shedding light on the city's rich and often tumultuous past. One of the ongoing research projects focuses on the shipwrecks that lie scattered around the sunken city. These shipwrecks represent a valuable source of information about Port Royal's maritime history. By studying the design and contents of these vessels, researchers can learn more about the types of goods that were traded through Port Royal, the shipbuilding techniques of the era, and the lives of the sailors who risked their lives at sea. Another area of research focuses on the environmental impact of the 1692 earthquake. The earthquake and subsequent tsunami caused significant changes to the coastline around Port Royal. By studying these changes, researchers can gain a better understanding of the forces that shaped this region and the long-term effects of natural disasters. Today, Port Royal is a shadow of its former self. The once thriving city is now a small fishing village located at the tip of the Palisadoes Peninsula. However, the legacy of Port Royal lives on. The Sunken city is a protected national heritage site, and efforts are underway to preserve and interpret its remains. The Jamaica National Heritage Trust operates a museum in Port Royal that showcases artifacts recovered from the underwater city. Visitors can learn about the history of Port Royal, from its founding as a Spanish settlement to its heyday as a pirate haven and its eventual destruction. The museum also highlights the ongoing archaeological work at the site and the importance of preserving this unique underwater heritage for future generations. The future of Port Royal is inextricably linked to its past, a past that is rich with tales of piracy, trade, and natural disasters. The Sunken city has the potential to become a major tourist destination, attracting visitors from all over the world who are eager to learn about its fascinating history. The allure of exploring a city lost to the sea is irresistible to many. However, any development plans must be carefully considered to ensure that they do not compromise the archaeological integrity of the site. The delicate balance between preservation and tourism is a challenge that must be met with thoughtful planning. One ambitious proposal involves the creation of an underwater museum at Port Royal. This innovative idea aims to blend education with adventure, offering a unique way to experience history. This museum would allow visitors to experience the sunken city firsthand, viewing artifacts and shipwrecks in their original context. Imagine walking through underwater tunnels surrounded by relics of a bygone era. Such a project would require significant investment and technological innovation, pushing the boundaries of what is possible in underwater construction and museum design. But it has the potential to transform Port Royal into a world-leading centre for underwater archaeology and tourism. The economic and educational benefits could be substantial. Whether or not such a project comes to fruition, one thing is certain: the story of Port Royal is far from over. Its legacy continues to unfold with each new discovery. As long as the city's secrets lie submerged beneath the waves, it will continue to captivate the imaginations of historians, archaeologists, and adventurers for generations to come. The mysteries of Port Royal are an endless source of fascination and inspiration. If you enjoyed this journey through the sunken pirate city of Port Royal, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating historical explorations. Thank you for watching.